In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the current conditions. We're going to be diving into the new model guidance for that tropical cyclone and the upcoming pattern. But let's get straight into things first. And we're taking a look here at our current conditions. And as you can see, there is quite a bit going on here across the middle of the United States here. We have showery activity down here the further south you go, but actually some pretty bad thunderstorms up here in the northern regions. So we need to talk about that, obviously. Throughout the southeast here, we have some thunderstorm activity, isolated showers and thunderstorms ongoing. There's even some showers up here for the state of Maine. And then the west is kind of high and dry out here. So we'll talk about all of these different regions. Usually we would zoom into the northwest, but there is nothing in the northwest. So we're actually going to start here in the southwest a little bit with the Four Corner states, where there is these showers just hanging out for Phoenix, Albuquerque, really surrounding regions of Arizona and New Mexico as well. Mostly near Phoenix and south of Phoenix is where we're seeing those. And then Albuquerque, it's mostly to your northeast, but also to your southwest as well. So there's kind of just sporadic showers around, and these obviously bring flooding concerns. This has to do with that monsoon we've been seeing. Obviously, things have lightened up, and they're a little less persistent at this point, but I think they could get worse in the near future as well. So we'll talk about that on the modeled guidance. Now, as we move a little bit further northward here, we see that there is these thunderstorms around here for Minnesota, Iowa, Illinois, Missouri, Wisconsin. These states in general are seeing the heavier showers, but not only that, also some thunderstorm activity there for a lot of these areas. So we need to watch that very closely. There is still some severe thunderstorms coming through the state of Iowa and Illinois especially, but all of these areas have a chance at severe weather. So we'll take a look at the Storm Prediction Center towards the end to get a deeper dive into that. Outside of that, we have some showers around here for states like the Dakotas, Nebraska, and Kansas as well. And those can be heavier at times. We do see yellows in there as well, but not quite as intense as this area of thunderstorms is right here. This is our main concern, definitely throughout this area here, and it's only going to continue to move further eastward. Now, as we move eastward, we actually see that there is these, well, first off, there's some isolated and scattered activity around for Kentucky, Tennessee, North Carolina, Virginia, kind of this pocket, especially Kentucky there actually where we're seeing these very isolated thunderstorms roll through. And what's interesting here is as we move towards Florida, it's not that rare, but we do see just isolated thunderstorms taking place. They're around, and they're moving through the state of Florida there. We do see that as we move further northward here for South Carolina and Georgia here, we see some activity nearby. And then actually, as we move even further northward, we see near the Outer Banks, these showers are going to start to impact the land, basically. They're heading in a southwesterly direction, but that at the direction they're heading right now, they will actually hit the Outer Banks, which is going to be pretty interesting. Now, as we move very far northward up to New England, we can see that last but not least, there is a couple of showers. I guess it is least actually, but there is just these isolated, very light sprinkles and showers around for northern and general interior Maine. They're very, very isolated region of the country. And there is some sprinkles around. It's probably quite cool this morning there as well. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to move on, and we're going to take a look at the modeled guidance for the upcoming patterns. We can just take a deeper dive into what's going to be happening over the coming days. And then we're going to take a look at the temperature pattern. We're going to take a look at that tropical cyclone, where there's actually two potential tropical disturbances, but still that cyclone that we need to talk about, and also the upcoming severe weather. All right, now here we are taking a look at the upcoming pattern, and we can see that storminess up here in the north central United States. That's most of the activity happening around the nation because areas around there are really not seeing much of anything. By the time I reach this afternoon time frame, we can see that the southeast starts to really pick up in activity down here, as well as this area just underneath that low pressure system. So the low is here, and we have a swinging cold front down there as well. Let's see, as we approach Sunday here, we're going to see about the afternoon hours Sunday, we see this cold front boundary area kind of looking like this. We can tell there's cold air behind this as well. So this is kind of the look, thunderstorms and activity all around for out ahead of that cold front, around that cold front. As we approach Monday, this is going to be June 27th. We can see this does reach the eastern seaboard just like this, and that's why we're seeing all of this activity in this area from Texas all the way up through Maine, basically, and you could even say that it goes into the Four Corner states as well there. That is our activity at that point. Tuesday, it moves into the deep south. It's pretty stationary, so it's moving very, very slowly. Flooding will be a concern with a slow-moving cold front like this. And look behind it, we kind of have a second cold front. It's pretty interesting, but we do have a second area of a cold front potentially there taking place with that low up there in Canada. And as we approach Wednesday, we can see this area just stays a little bit stormy here. So this is fairly common in these types of scenarios. It means that a lot of this tropical warm air is actually putting up a really good fight for that cold air. And that's why oftentimes we see a lot of storminess down here and it just sticks around. It's that front not moving out. By Thursday, we can see things weakening, but it's still around. We see a lot of storminess actually along that Canadian border there. Let's see, by Friday, this is going to be June 1st. We see a lot of our activity is here in the eastern United States. Let's see, by Saturday, June 2nd, this actually picks up. So we're seeing more widespread activity here in the eastern half of the nation. The 3rd, we're still seeing that. And then by the 4th and even the 5th, we see this activity still down here. Although we start to see things really pick up out here out west around the 4th, 5th time frame here at the end of the model run. So that's also worth noting. Here's the total precipitation through the next 10 days. And if you're anywhere in the whites, you're expecting a dusting, dusting if anything. You're expecting practically no precipitation. The grays will be about 1/10 of an inch or less of precipitation. Your greens will be about 1/10 of an inch to 1/2 an inch. Your blues will be about 1/2 an inch to 1 inch of precipitation. Your yellows will be about 1 inch to 2 inches. Your reds will be 2 to 5 inches. And then your browns will be 5 inches plus. That is the look at this point. Now for total snowfall, if you're anywhere in the grays, you are expecting a dusting. If anything, blues will be 2 to 6 inches of snowfall. Purples will be 6 to 10. Pinks will be 10 to 20. And your pastels will be 20 inches plus. Although, as you can see, there's only grays in the United States at this point. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to move on. We're going to take a look at that temperature forecast. We're going to just walk through the temperature pattern. And then we're going to take a look at that tropical cyclone as well as the upcoming severe weather. Now, here is the upcoming temperature pattern. Let's just walk through with this. As we're reaching today, later today on Saturday, we see above average temperatures for the West Coast and then most of the eastern United States here as well, with cold in between. So we have a bit of a ridge here for the West Coast with a trough there, and then a ridge in the eastern United States again. And what we're going to see in the upcoming pattern is a low will develop here in the northern United States, and this is going to become a bit of a cold front, and that trough is going to start to move eastward with that cold front. So Sunday here, we can tell that that cold front is something like this. So it's allowing that cold to just kind of flow in behind, just like this. That's what we're seeing. A lot of storminess around it, like we said. And then we see a lot of this cold air moving in through here. This is when the cold front is around here. So we're seeing that cold air start to move in with that cold front. Tuesday, we really see mostly cold in the eastern United States, although there's some areas of neutral temperatures or even slightly above normal, but for the most part, it's a lot colder than it was, and it's most certainly a lot colder than the west is at this point where there's a massive ridge, and it might not be that extreme, but we're seeing a pretty big ridge out here and a bit of a trough in the east at this point. Wednesday, this is going to be about the 29th time frame. We see this ridge mostly moving over the central United States, although most of the United States is seeing warmth at this point. We see some cold moving into the west a little bit here, kind of the central western United States, and some warm temperatures moving up here for the eastern United States, although there is still that lingering storminess down here, and that's creating some colder temperatures, but warm air is definitely moving in behind this system. We still see it around for Friday and even Saturday here, although we have a lot of warmth up here in the northwest. That seems to be the warmest area. There's just some around for the eastern United States as well. So that's also worth noting there. And by the time I reach Sunday, we can see things kind of continue on as they've been. And even as we approach the 4th and the 5th as well, a lot of that warmth here is in the kind of northwestern and north central United States at this point. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to move on and we're going to take a look at that tropical activity here. So here's the 5-day graphical tropical weather outlook. And as you can see, we actually have 2 areas now. We have this area near the United States where there's actually a 20% chance of tropical formation in the next 5 days. That all comes in the 3 prior days of that 5 days. So we have a 0% chance over the next 48 hours. So it's mostly days 3 through 5 that we're concerned about with this one. Now for this system over here, we now have a 60% chance of development over the next 5 days. We actually have a 30% chance of development over the next 2 days. So it doubles in the last 3 days of that 5-day period, but there is actually a 30% chance over the next 48 hours of development. Now let's take a look at that intensity guidance real quickly and then the spaghetti model guidance. Now here's the intensity guidance. As you can see, every single one of these models actually does bring it to at least tropical storm status at some point, and then about half of these bring it to category 1 status pretty long in the future, but they do eventually get it there. Very interesting stuff here, but this storm does look very intense potentially, and we're going to have to really track this one diligently, and that is what we're going to do here on the channel, so be sure to tune in with us daily. Let's go ahead and move on and talk about that spaghetti model guidance. Now here it is, and obviously each one of these lines is a model. We can see that a majority of these take it much further south than even yesterday, and this is kind of that suppressed look that I was talking about a couple of days ago. If you had to draw a cone, it would obviously look something like this as far as the models go. This is kind of the track that we see, and all of these areas up here is going to be lower probability than, the majority take it very close there to South America. And if it tracks even lower than the mean average, I would say, so if it's actually interacting with this land in there, if it's scraping along this area here, usually we see these storms really break up. So the further north it is, probably the worse. The further south it is, the more likely it's just going to suppress. So we need to watch that type of a scenario very closely. Now here's the GFS ensemble model, and as you can see, it's a lot of the same actually. That mean average line is going to be your black one. And you can see that comes very close to South America. This is all much further south than yesterday, so we need to really watch this, but the trend is south, which is kind of the trend that we want to see. Now here's the Canadian ensemble model, and this one's usually a little bit more all over the place, and still the mean average is very close to what the GFS ensemble model was showing, but this is still just a very suppressed look, and again, the further south the better. So we're going to be hoping for that and watching very closely every single day, like I mentioned. What we're going to do here is we're going to move on and take a look at the storm prediction setup. Now here's the day 1 categorical outlook for Saturday, June 25th. We have a general thunderstorm there in risk in the lighter greens, and that's where we expect general thunderstorms to occur, but everything is possible, so heed every watch, warning, and advisory. There in the darker green for the plains up through the Ohio Valley is where we have a marginal risk at severe weather, and we expect isolated severe weather. So we're going to keep that in mind as well for today on Saturday, June 25th. Now for day 2 on Sunday, June 26th, we have 2 general thunderstorm risks almost touching there, but we have one for Florida and then one for everywhere else. And that is where, again, we expect general thunderstorms, but anything is possible. So heed every watch, warning, and advisory. And then our darker green region up there for the northeast region, that's our marginal risk where we expect isolated severe weather to occur. Now for day 3, we just have one very large general thunderstorm risk going on here, but nothing else for Monday, June 27th. So we expect general thunderstorms in here, but anything is possible. So again, heed every watch, warning, and advisory. Now what we're going to do is close out the video here. I don't know why I went into that, but for today's patron, I'm all over the place, guys. For today's confidence stab, we're at a 4 out of 6 because I really don't know if this storm is going to be suppressed to the south or it might actually take a more northern route. Only time we'll be able to tell, but for now, we're going to be at a 4 out of 6 for the confidence. For today's patron, highlighted today, I want to thank you all for supporting the channel, but especially our Platinum patrons, Bill Crates, James Wade, Dovin Eagle, Larry LePan, Mandy Birchfield, Patrick Strickland, Dave Scott, and Donna Carnes as well. I would also like to thank our Diamond patrons, Bill Roberts, Marcus Connolly, Noah Michael, Catbite, Charles Stinnett, Bill Dallas, Garrison, and John Khaleesi also. I'd also like to thank our channel members, Catbite, Steam Fan, and Jeremy Cox as well. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for more weather-related content. I'll see you guys in the next video.